All right, what is up, my friends? Welcome back to the complete set review for MTG Foundations. Exciting new core set, legal for 5 years in standard. This is going to be a multi-part review. All right, so we've already done white and blue. We're doing a review for the main set right now. So that is all the cards you will open in play booster packs for limited and constructed, legal and standard, and everything else. I'm going to do a separate review for all the starter deck cards, which are cards that are going to be in a starter pack. It's like $60. It's a great product, honestly. And they'll all be legal and standard. They're all reprints. So they're not for limited. They're only for standard. They're reprints. That'll be in a separate review. All right, so check that out. And a big thanks to Mike, one of my mods, MTG Scribe, for helping me collate these cards. It's a little confusing as to what's what, honestly. Check out Mike, mtgscribe.com for all your Magic news. Mike has some great guides about like what you open in booster packs, how the set is collated and stuff like that, which is great. That's why I asked him to do it, because he just knows everything I don't. So Mike's great. Let's hear it from Mike. That's fantastic. And Mike's great. Also, big thanks to Ultimate Guard, my sponsor. Ultimate Guard's phenomenal. Protect all your cards. It's great community stuff. Great time at their booth at MagicCon. Check them out. Ultimate Guard. Ultimate Guard products are sold near you. Let's get to our set review, though. Let's get right in. Boom. With our first card here in Abyssal Harvester. No awards, but a pretty interesting card. Black 1 for a 3/2. Demon Warlock. 2 relevant types. It's a outlaw and a demon. You can tap this to put target creature card from a graveyard that was put there this turn. Exile it, sorry. And then make a token as a copy of it, so it's also a nightmare. And you exile all other nightmares. So basically, this is sort of like that Reenact the Crime card, where it's a reanimation card, but only if you put the card in the graveyard this turn. This card's kind of cool. So you can just like kill their creature, kill their overlord or whatever, and then use this to get it back immediately, which is kind of cool. Or if you have ways to discard cards, you can play with them turn 3, and then turn 4, just like loot and attract in the graveyard, and then bring it back immediately. That's kind of cool too. That being said, it is a non-hasted 3/2 for 3. It's a little hard to cast. So I think that this card, it's probably not going to play as good as it looks. But I think it does have a decent chance. Again, being a demon's a big deal for like the Annex decks. I think this card's pretty cool. I was too cowardly to give it an award, but I think it's got a chance. Got a chance for sure. Also, it can be kind of cool in a Reanimator deck as like a secondary threat to force them to kill this. And then you play your big thing and they can't kill it some other way too. Cool too. So card's kind of cool. Pretty fun design. It's cool. Cool card. In limited, this card's totally reasonable. Reasonable body. Kill their big thing, get it back, kind of cool. And you can keep doing it also, right? So like once the thing dies, you just get back another thing, which is kind of cool too. So card's cool. I like it. Pretty fun. Arbiter of Woe. Woe indeed if you're playing limited. Holy crap. 6 mana for a 5/4. You must sack creature to cast this card, but there is sacrifice themes in black. However, it's a mini Archon of Cruelty. Flying ETB, they discard and lose 2, you draw and gain 2. That is extremely powerful. And obviously this is a phenomenal card to reanimate because you skip the additional cost thing, very similar to the reanimation stuff happening in Duskmourn. Gonna be a banger limited card in a number of limited decks. If this thing ever survives, the game's over. And even if it doesn't, it's a lot of value, which is great. So great limited card. Constructed, obviously worse than the other big dum-dum things. But great card for limited, really good. Bake Into a Pie returns, a reprint from Eldraine, just a good common removal spell, make a food, kill a creature. There are a lot of reprints in this set. I'm going to be going over them pretty quickly, honestly, and not going to spend too much time on them. We know what this card is. It's a good removal spell, limited, it's really it. So, is what it is. Billowing Shriekmass is an uncommon, 4 mana, 2/3 flyer. When an ETB's mill 3, and if you have Threshold, it is a 4/4 flyer. Again, I love the simplicity of this set. You know, it's just a simple card, does some cool graveyard stuff, wants to get Threshold. If you're doing graveyard things, this card's pretty good. A 4/4 flyer for 4 is kind of awesome. And then a 2/3 flyer for 4 is not the worst thing of all time if you aren't there yet. It's a good draft card. Pretty cool stuff. Good enabler and payoff. Blasphemous Edict. No awards, but I know you Commander players love this card. This is just your Blasphemous Act in black for you Commander players. 5 mana for effectively a Wrath, where each player sacrifices 13 creatures, which will be all of them for the most of the time. And then if there are 13 or more creatures on the battlefield total, you can play a black for this. So again, very similar to Blasphemous Act. This will cost 1 mana most of the time in Commander games. Cool, that's fun. Open a foil and definitely sell it for $1 million. And constructed, There are just better sweepers. You know, Deadly Cover-Up's really, really good. Obviously, Sunfall, Day of Judgment and stuff. So I doubt there's a spot you'll be casting this for a black in Constructed. So for the most part, this is just a commander card. Fine limited card also as a sweeper. But yeah, you know, it's a fun card. It's cool. Whatever. Bloodthirsty Conqueror. 5 mana for a mythic 5/5 flying Death Touch. At this point, that body's whatever. If your opponent loses life, you gain that much life. So we already have this effect in Standard on a much better body in the Enduring creature from Duskmourn, where it's a 4/3, and if it dies, it becomes an enchantment. Much better for like trying to do combo stuff because like it'll actually stick around if they kill it. This is a much worse enabler for that kind of stuff. And then it's also not really... Oh, I'm sorry. I misread the card.
Oh, whoops. Whoopsie.
Hi, I'm Jim. Welcome to the set review. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Apologize. Apologize. Does this go infinite with Tenacity? Oh, well, in that case, that's stupid. All right, sure. Well, I can't read, clearly. That's kind of dumb, honestly. It probably won't be very good in Constructed, but it's kind of obnoxious, which I don't really like. I don't really like these obnoxious, like, 2-card kill combos in Standard. Yeah. Super lifelink, huh? Marauding Blight Priest. Oh, the Blight Priest, whenever you gain life, they lose life. That's kind of lame also. Yeah, I don't like cards like this. I don't like cards that are like these infinite combos that like won't be actually good in like competitive Constructed, but like just sort of kill people out of nowhere. Not really a fan. As I just said, this card will probably not relevant in competitive Constructed, but annoyingly powerful in casual play and draft and stuff. Sure. Whatever. I don't like it. I'm going to move on. It's a vampire too, I guess. Burglar Rat returns. Ravenous Rats, EDB, discard, no target, each opponent. Cool for sacrifice decks. Nothing really crazy here. Good limited card. Crypt Feaster. We got a 4-mana 3/4 common menace creature. It's a zombie, and then Threshold gets +2/+0. This is like your baseline limited filler card that's just unplayable these days. When every card is playable, not every card is playable, and this card should probably not be in your draft deck most of the time, which is pretty bad. Digraph Cruel returns. This is a fringe playable constructed card if you're desperate for a zombie 1-drop. Certainly an okay draft card too. Just fine. It's cheap. It's reasonable. Eaten Alive returns again. I like this card. This is our Bombin Common for black. There's a lot of sacrifice kind of stuff happening in black, and this card is great for a number of reasons. It exiles rather than kills, which is great. It can kill planeswalkers. There are 5 in the set for limited, which is a big deal. And then also, most importantly, has a buyout. One of the problems with the card like Final Vengeance in the last set is that sometimes you just have 2 Final Vengeance and no creatures, and you just die and feel awful about it. Having a buyout for mana means in the mid game in your draft deck, you can just cast this for 5 and be fine with it. So most of the time, this is going to be a super efficient rules of it exiles, but it can also be a 5-mana spell if you need that too. Great limited card, great synergy card. We'll see more about why in red. I think it's a red. But yeah, card's great. Great limited card. Eaten Alive, our Bombin Common for black. Exsanguinate. God, commander players, casual players love cards like this so much. Black, X sorcery. Each opponent loses X life and you gain that much life. So again, another commander card, and then realistically in any competitive format, if you are pay X for 10 and try and kill your opponent, you could do literally anything else and kill them. But sure, whatever. I'm not going to yuck anybody's yum, I guess. Just is what it is. Also, important to know this card is ridiculous in Twin-Headed Giant. So if you play a Twin-Headed Giant pre-release, this card is completely unfair. But yeah, is what it is. It's a fireball. In limited, if my deck was desperate for a win condition, I could see playing this card, but not that exciting otherwise. Just play a big creature that can block, Fake Your Own Death, reprint. I think this card's already legal in Standard. It's a fringe limited trick. Plays well with ETB effects. Nothing crazy here. Gutless Plunderer, 3 mana for a 2/2 Death Touch. Has Raid. Whenever it enters, if you attack this turn, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may put one on top of your library, put the rest in the graveyard. So this can mill 3. It can possibly sort of like card selection you a bit. Fills the graveyard. Death Touch Body's kind of cool. Card's fine. It's a filler limited card. If you want Threshold, if you're doing graveyard stuff, its card's okay. But Two death for 3 isn't that good, but it's all right. There's also a parrot skeleton, which is cool. High Society Hunter, folks. We got our trap card here. All right, this card's kind of sweet. 5 mana for a 5/3 vampire noble flying. Whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, put a counter on this. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, draw a card. That is uncapped. That is pretty powerful. The problem here is this is a 5 mana 5/3. This dies to a stiff breeze, and it also must attack to do the main thing that it does. It can be used, without attacking. If you just like have a sacrifice outlet and things in play, you can draw some cards off of it. But that's a lot of mana for not a lot, and the sizing here is really bad. Strong agree if this was a 3/5, it'd be a lot better. But yeah, just not great. Cool art, cool card, great limited card, but this is the kind of card that's just way too flimsy for construction for constructed. Just play a much better. Play Alcatraz, whatever it's called. Play Sheoldred, play whatever else. But yeah, so great limited card, but that's my trap card for the set in black. Not a very good constructed card. Hungry Ghoul is next. Mana for a 2/2 zombie. Pay 1, sack creature, put a counter on this. This card's really good, honestly. It's a really good sack outlet. It is instant speed, which is great. It is uncapped, which is great. It obviously has a mana cost attached to it, so it's not as good as a card like Nantuku Husk would be, but the rate is much better. So if you're playing a sacrificey deck, this card's really, really important. Just great limited common. Realistically, nothing more to say here. Inferno Vessel. The mana for a 2/1 uncommon. When it dies, if it wasn't a demon, turn to the battlefield under its owner's control with 2 counters on it, and it's a demon. So 2/1 that dies to be a 5/4. Pretty good limited card. For constructed, not really. Shades of Diablo here. He hoped he was strong enough to contain the Soul Stone. Right? Anyone? Diablo? Anyone? No? But yeah, great limited card. It's a 2/1, then a 4/3, and that's great. Honestly, cool. Good stuff. Good draft card. Infestation Sage. Wow. What was that card called? I can't remember now. Doom Traveler. Doom Traveler returns. And we get a 1/1 for 1. 2 relevant types, both Elf and Warlock. It's an outlaw. When it dies, make a 1/1 flying insect. And if you're playing a sacrificey deck, this card's awesome. It's great fodder. We've seen Doom Traveler see play in multiple formats before. Definitely maybe a little power crept out these days, but has a pedigree, reasonable card. It's a cool card. Great card, great limited card. Possible constructed card. Good stuff. Liliana Dreadhorde General. I might regret this, but I'm going to give Liliana best in show. I don't really find another card that I super liked in black. And I think Liliana, given the power of black and standard right now, as far as all their removal spells and wanting a top end card, and how planeswalkers are pretty durable in standard right now too, makes Liliana pretty exciting. Liliana is a 6 mana planeswalker with 6 loyalty. Static ability, whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. Powerful. Plus to make a token. -4, each player sacrifices 2 creatures of their choice. Pretty powerful effect, honestly, when you're already good at killing things. Because you can just play this and get their 2 last creatures. Also a sacrifice, so no ward, stuff like that, hexproof, etc., etc. And then the ultimate is just pretty powerful. Just cataclysms their board, which is pretty insane. So I don't think this is the kind of card you're gonna play 4 of, obviously. But I think that the black decks in standard, if you're looking for a variety kind of threat, this is a really good 1 or 2 of to top end with. Card's got a guess. It would have played well in our Golgari ramp deck. We played in Worlds last weekend or 2 weekends ago. I think it's a good card. I think it was legal in standard the first time in a really, really powerful format. And things are a little less powerful now, and black's really, really good. So we'll see. I might be wrong with this one, but I'm just going to fire it in there because I like Liliana. And then obviously in limited, do a backflip, windmill slam this card into your deck and go nuts. Macabre Waltz. Reprint. 2 mana for a sorcery. Return 2 creatures and discard a card. Limited filler. Whatever. Just not a super exciting card. Marauding Blight Priest. 3 mana for a 3/2. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. And this is a card that combos with the aforementioned Mythic Rare. Gonna be a good draft card also. Honestly, there's a lot of life gains happening in white. So if you're a black-white and you can do the life gain thing, pretty cool. It's a good draft card. You know, possible combo card in Constructed, I guess. Probably not. But good draft card if you're playing a life gain deck. Definitely a card that wants a certain deck, but is very good in that deck. Midnight Snack. 3 mana for an enchantment with Raid. But your end step, if you attack this turn, create a food token. Get it? You raid the fridge. Sure. 3 mana sacrifices enchantment, target opponent loses X life, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. Again, kind of a cool payoff for a life gain deck in draft. Make some foods, and then you can just like sack a few foods and sack a thing and try and kill them all in one shot, which is kind of cool. Cool card. Might not be good enough, honestly. It's a very finicky draft card, but 3 mana is a lot. So I don't know. Cool draft card is what it is. 9 Lives Familiar. Cool new design. 3 mana for a 1/1 cat. It EDBs with 8 revival counters on it if you cast it, and when it dies, if it had a revival counter on it, return to the battlefield with 1 fewer revival counter on it at the beginning of the next end step. So obviously this is an insane amount of fodder for your sacrifice decks. That being said, it comes back at the end step, so you can't keep stacking it over and over again, which I think limits the utility of the card by a lot. I think this card is mostly just like limited in casual fodder. That cap puts a huge cap on the card. But yeah, it's cool. Fun design. Again, the kind of fun design that newer players will love, which is great. Cool. An okay draft card, too. Cool with sack stuff. Painful Quandary, reprint. An opponent casts a spell, may lose 5 with discard a card. Not a very good card. Only good if you're ahead. Could be a sideboard card, maybe in like black decks against control decks, something like that. But it's a card. It's a puncher card you can work around. It's not that great of a card. The kind of card that's really, really annoying to lose to because you know it isn't that good, but it can be good situationally. Phyrexian Arena. This card's already in Standard. I love Phyrexian Arena, but unfortunately, Unholy Annex is also legal. So that basically spells doom for Phyrexian Arena. That makes me sad. Good limited card, though. Pilfer. I think this card's also already in Standard. Good generic discard spell. That's really it, honestly. Reassembling Skeleton. I do love this card. Great reprint. Awesome sacrifice fodder. Great limited card for sacrifice decks. Infinite fodder. Keep bringing it back, sacrificing it, bringing it back. Great limited card. Big fan of this card. Really fun card. Just good stuff. Revenge of the Rats. 4 mana for a sorcery. Make a tapped rat token for each creature card in your graveyard. Flashback for 4. Is this a reprint or no? I don't think it is. But it's obviously a great payoff if you were doing the graveyard thing. Shades of Spider Spawning. If you're doing the graveyard thing, this is a really powerful card in your draft deck. The kind of card you can play towards because it has flashback also. So you can just keep self-milling till you find it. So great archetype limited card. Really good stuff. Constructed. They do come in tapped, so you need to defend yourself a little bit. But quite powerful. Rise of the Dark Realms. Holy crap. 9 mana. Sorcery. Return all creature cards from all graveyards on the battlefield under your control. Damn. Not a Living Dead or whatever. This is the kind of card where for 9 mana you should win the game. And this card does do that. So if your draft deck is able to cast this card, you'll win the game. But 9 mana is ridiculous. So make sure you have a plan to stay alive. Constructed wise, if you can cheat cast this card, I guess, sure. But like you could just also cast Baglevoth too. So again, another card that makes a new player go, holy shnikes. But we know a little better as more experienced players. Whatever, it's cool. It's fun. Runescar Demon, reprint. 7 mana, 6/6. EDB Demonic Tutor. Great limited card. I guess good limited card, not great. Could be a possible like combo card. This could be a demon to play in your demon deck to set up your Jace plus Doomsday combo, but 7 mana is a ridiculous amount, so Sanguine Siphoner, 2 mana for 1/3. Whenever it's attacks, each opponent loses 1, you gain 1. Cool card, honestly. Similar, there was a card like this in Bloomburrow. Cool card for life gain decks. Reasonably aggressive creature. It's fine. It's pretty cool. Seeker's Folly. 3 mana for a sorcery. Mind Rot or Nausea your opponent. Great draft sideboard card, that's for sure. Constructed, probably not, but obviously in limited, if you want a Mind Rot or -1/-1, this does both of those, which is flexible. That's cool. Great art, too. Soul Shackled Zombie. 4 mana for a 4/2 common zombie. When it ETBs, exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. If at least 1 creature card was exiled this way, each opponent loses 2 and you gain 2. This is fine, you know. Not quite Siege Rhino, but, you know, it's an okay limited card. A little bit of reach, decent body, a little bit of graveyard hate. It's filler, but... Stab! F's in chat for Disfigure. Why? What? Why do we gotta do this? Huh? I like Disfigure. Whatever. It's Disfigure. Disfigure can be good sometimes. Good limited card. Fringe constructed card. Tinybones returns. Tinybones Bauble Burglar. 2 mana for a 1/3. Our opponent discards a card, exile it from the graveyard with a stash counter on it. And then during your turn, you may play cards you don't own with stash counters from them from exile. And pay mana of any color to cast them. And then 4 mana tap, opponent discards. This card's cool. Like, it's a fun discard enabler. That being said, discard enablers aren't very good. Tinybones is also ripped here. Holy shnikes.
Good lord.
Tinybones has been working out. Huh? Crazy. But yeah, you know, if there's some sort of discard deck, this card's obviously very, very good. It's kind of like an 8-racky card or like a waste not kind of card where it's like very, very like linear in what it does, but it is pretty powerful. Also important to note that these cards get stash counters, so if they kill your Tinybones, the next Tinybones will be able to cast them, which is kind of cool too. So, has a skeleton have muscles? I don't know, folks. That's not my department, all right? And then in limited, this card's fine. Just like activate it once, steal a card. You're pretty happy. So, cool card. Fun new Tinybones. I like Tinybones. Tragic Banshee. 5 mana for a 5/3. Spirit with Morbid. ETB, -1/-1. If a creature died, -13/-13. Great limited card. You know, if this ever kills a creature, you're stoked. Body's good enough as it is. Card's good. Good draft card. Vampire Gourmand. Folks, we sleeping on this card, all right? This card's great. It's mana for a 2/2. Whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, draw a card, and this can't be blocked. This card's awesome. Both those abilities work really, really well together, all right? So the problem with like these sort of like, this attacks, does a thing kind of cards, is that you attack with it, you do the thing, and you just block it and kill it. This card can do the thing and then not get blocked, which is awesome. So this thing can draw cards, protect itself. It's cheap. It's easy to cast. It's a vampire. This is a banger, folks. I think this card is a limited all-star, obviously. But has a good chance to construct it as a sacrificey deck. Card's great. Really awesome card. Big, big fan. If there's a sack deck in Standard, this is the card for it. And again, I love that it self-powers itself. So it does its thing and then can't be blocked. Awesome. Great stuff. Banger card. Love it. Vampire Gourmand. Vampire Nighthawk returns to a time and place where it is ridiculously power crept. This is like a fringe playable card back in the day. It's a joke now. This card will see no play constructed. Good limited card for sure, and a fun card. I'm glad they have the old art on here. Everyone loves this card. I do too. It's a cool card, you know, but its day is certainly past for sure. Also dies the cut down. Oh no. Cut down. But yeah, cool reprint, cool nostalgia card, good limited card. It's cool. Vampire Soulcaller. 5 mana for a 3/2 flying, can't block. The worst type line possible in limited. When it ETBs, return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This is a pretty bad Gravedigger. Again, not being able to block is devastating for a card advantage card like this. I think this card is mostly unplayable unless you are playing against a draft deck that is very slow. In a slow, grindy matchup, sure. I would not want to start this card, though. Vengeful Bloodwitch, 2 mana for a 1/1. It's just a Blood Artist. I'm sorry, a Zulaport Cutthroat. Vampire, Warlock, 2 relevant types. Whenever a creature you control dies, they drain for 1. This can go on a sacrifice deck. Obviously, it can be part of a combo deck if you're sacrificing stuff. There is a Rally the Ancestors type card in white, which is kind of cool. So, this is not a Blood Artist power creep. Very, very important to note. This is only your creatures, which makes it worse. But, yeah, cool card. Obviously, these Blood Artist effects, we've seen them a million times. We know when they're good. Great draft card. Possible constructed card. It's also an outlaw. Does crime too. Zombify. Whoa. So for the longest time, we would not get a 4-mana reanimation spell in standard. There were only 5 mana. But we saw Rite of the Moth and Duskmourn. Now we see Zombify back again. I played this card in standard like 10 years ago, 15 years ago or whatever. And, you know, it's a pretty powerful effect given how powerful the big dumb idiots they make these days are. Vaglavoth, Atraxa. This card will definitely see play in standard. It's a big one. You know, Rite of the Moth is super hard to cast. This one's not, obviously. So watch out for this one. And then also a good limited card. There's a few good reanimation targets in the set anyway, which is great. And many ways to put cards in the graveyard too. This looks like a starter card, folks, but it's not. This is definitely a very, very playable card. Zool, Lich Lord, 2 mana for a 2/2. Ward, pay 2 life. Tap this to cast zombie card from your graveyard this turn. This card's fine. If there's like a zombie deck, like sure, I guess this could see some play. It's not very aggressive, and it requires things to be in the graveyard to do anything, nor is it attacked very well. So, like, I think for the most part, it's kind of eh. But in a long game, this could do some stuff. So, great limited card. Constructed. So, that's it for black. All right, we got Liliana as our best in show. We've got Vampire Gourmand as our sleeper card. High Society Hunter is our trap card. And our Bombin Common is Eaten Alive. Reminder, we are only going over the cards in play boosters today. So these are the cards that are in the set when you draft and in the set when you open packs. There are about 200 cards in the starter set that are almost all reprints that are legal in standard but not in draft. I'll be doing a separate review for those. This is a huge set, folks. A huge, huge set. Very important set for Magic also. Going to be legal for 5 years. This is the onboarding product for the next 5 years also. So it's a big one. So bear with me, all right? So like, comment, subscribe. Reddit's coming up. I love y'all. And let's do this.